All right, what's up, everybody? Um, so yeah, there's been a lot that has happened since the last stream. And unfortunately, the way the timing worked out, I was not able to announce it on the stream. Right? That would have been like the perfect scenario, but we have to work off of the timelines that were given. For those of you who don't know, which just about everybody should. LSS reached out and gave me the amazing opportunity to spoil a Briar specialization, which was just huge. Anytime any individual gets a spoiler, that's one thing, but obviously with like Kel McCreath getting the 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 Bravo, spoiler, and getting they're giving quote unquote specialists the specializations, which goes a long way to be recognized in that way because there's so many great Briar players, right? Like you got Brody Spurlock, right? Been killing it. Hayden's done some good stuff with Briar. You got Matt Folks, like just so many people that play Briar and do very great things. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity. It was truly amazing to do something what that seems so small, but it just really means a lot. Um, so yeah, let me go in and change one thing on the camera. Turn off that autofocus. Get that out of here. Okay, so um, yeah, so like super stoked. We obviously have a topic for today, but since the spoiler, just happened, we are going to spend just a couple minutes just analyzing the card, what it can do, what lines it opens up, things like that. Because on the surface, it looks like a card that's not really doing a whole lot. But if you just look at it for a little bit longer, you kind of understand that it literally checks every single box that the deck kind of wants to operate in, which goes very well with the topic of today, which is going to be opportunity cost. Um, and we're going to talk about how opportunity cost relates in Flesh and Blood when you're both deck building and kind of making plays as well. There's kind of two sides of that, and we're going to be kind of digging into both of those. So let me get caught up on chat. Thanks everybody for being here. What's up, Damien? Good to see you. All right, so let's go ahead, Justin. Here to make fun of Nathan and his spoiler. That's what I'm talking about. Good stuff. So I'm sure everybody's seen it, but let's go ahead and show the card. If anybody needs a decent picture, you can go to February, and they have a little spoiler section, and you can just click on the card and pop it up right here. It'll be located right down here in the bottom. Okay. So the card was Anthem of Spring. It was a blue pitch, Earth action, block 2, 0 cost, and basically weave Earth, but it applies to any card for the +1. And you have the unity effect that if it's blocked defended with another card from hand, so this would not be valid if you blocked with, say, a D-React or something of that nature. So it has to be blocked with at the same time is the important part. Okay. Um, Justin, I lied to you. You got to explain that one to me. So, the Unity effect is when it's defended together with a card, you create an embodiment of Earth token, which seems very innocent. So what this card does, okay? So first, right? um, the what this card does is it's 0 cost. Okay, so that's kind of check mark number 1 for Briar, right? Is she wants to run as many 0 cost, unless they're like very, very impactful cards like Chinema Heroic, Red Earth or Surge, things like that, which will kind of, Tome of Harvest, which technically is a 0 cost because it's like net neutral. But so basically, it's a 0 cost, it's an Earth. That's the very important part, right? So it's an Earth card. It's a blue pitch. It's something that we ask of most of our blues within the Briar deck is that they are Earth. it blocks for 2. However, you can almost read that as it blocks 4, and I'll explain that in just a second on why you should read it as it blocks 4. Um, oh, I said I'd send it to you personally after Twitter got it. Yeah, I said after Twitter. I didn't say when after. I'll get it to you next year. No worries. Um, yeah, and so it I would compare this card to like Glint the Quicksilver, right? It's blue. It just gives go again. It replaces it. It's like it's not doing like Glint in and of itself is not like broken, but it just does everything a Dory deck wants to do, right? Gaze the Ages would be another example of anytime you can get this much utility out of a blue, it's powerful. This is like Briar's Macho Grande, like literally. So let's break down the Unity, which is where the strength of this card lies, other than the outermost portions like the blue, the earth, the 0 cost and all that. So Unity says when it defends with a card or together with a card from hand, right? So it has to be from hand. So you can't down and dirty from Arsenal, unfortunately. You create an embodiment of earth, okay? There's nothing in the rules that say you can't have more than one embodiment of earth. So therefore, you can look at this card 2 ways. You can either stack your embodiment, or I think more importantly, let's say your opponent denies your embodiment, right? Then this is a way to reacquire it, right? Let's say, for example, you're playing against a Bravo, and you do like one of those standard plays where you like cover up a Crippling Crush that wasn't dominated, and you throw a 0 for 4 to like maintain your embodiment, right? And he jams his armor and then throws a Spinal at you the next turn. Now, in a normal situation, that would be a catastrophic kind of situation, right? Because chances are you draw your cards and your whole hand blocks anywhere between 8 and 10, right, on average. But with this, you can still cover up that Spinal, or at least the Crush effect, with 2 cards, even though you were denied the embodiment. For those of you who don't know, the embodiment of Earth is a trigger that happens, but then it's a continuous effect. Okay? For example, at time of block, before the trigger, yes, this would block for 2, but then once the trigger happens, it's constantly checking as long as there are cards defending, right? Because cards don't defend at one point in the game. As long as they go into the combat chain during the defensive part of the defense step, it qualifies for the embodiment trigger, right? Like you don't buff the cards in your hand with an embodiment of Earth. It's kind of like the same rule where you can't be cheeky and like play Arouse the Ancients by having to channel Mount Heroic out. It doesn't buff the stuff in your hand, right? So the most impactful thing is, like I said, it gives you the ability to get 2 embodiments, or it gives you the ability to get the embodiment you were denied, right? Now, there's some decks where this card's not great against, right? It's basically anybody that goes like super lean. It can, like Ninja, for example, right? It's not very good. However, I'll caveat that with, say, same situation as the Spinal Crush, right? They flick flack your 0 for 4 that you play on your turn, right? And then they play the Surging Strike and you want to cover up the Surging Strike. This gives you the ability to do that. If you want to put them in the position of better have the second piece, you have that ability now. It's no longer a 3-card exchange. You just put 2 of those out, 2 blocks, and bam, they become 3 blocks, right? So it's very fluid. It fills a lot of niches. It's going to be one of those cards that this would be played in every Briar deck going forward, as long as there's an Earth basis. If there's ever like a Lightning one, this one probably still gets played, even if it's because the embodiment is so strong. If you ever get denied, if the meta ever slows down to where Briar's actively being denied embodiments, this just gets way better. It just does. Um, so amazing card. It is slightly unfortunate that we are in a situation where it is possible we don't get to play with it with Briar's current iteration in the CC format. However, I really don't think she's going to make it unless she takes down a Battle Harden, which is pretty unlikely, I would say. Um, yeah, and it's the art's actually pretty interesting. Got a good point in chat. I don't know what that is she's fighting. I'm guessing it's whatever the Monarch story is going to tell us, like who the bad guys are, who's coming out of the Tremors, if you will. All right, so that kind of cover like there's a couple other things you. I said this on Twitter kind of as a joke, but it's kind of serious at the same time. Imagine a situation where you accidentally play around a pummel, right? You block because like they play CNC, you're trying to protect your arsenal. What do? You block with 2 cards, right? So theoretically, you block with this card and what could be a 3 block non-attack, right? So then that card goes to 5. This card goes to 4 because you would have theoretically 2 embodiments, right? So you're blocking 9, which literally covers up all the way to a yellow pummel. Doesn't cover up the red, but you could have a situation where you either just you're in that tight situation where you just can't afford like because if you give 2 cards and 1 armor piece, right? Are you really paying what we're going to talk about, the opportunity cost of being wrong on the pummel, right? And I don't think you are, right? Because you're just giving a crappy blue and some other 3 block non-attack to just negate the chances of that even happening. This is assuming you don't have Crown of Providence or Crown of Seas or anything like that, And it's also assuming that your arsenal is very good and necessary to have a proactive turn next turn. Maybe you got to premeditate in your hand or whatever the case may be. So yeah, super good card. It will be a staple in any Briar deck that revolves around Channel Outrogue in any way. I've had a question of where this would go in my current iteration. Very simple. I would just take out the 3 Sotomores and put this one in. Thought process there is Oldham's leaving. We don't need Sotomor anywhere, and Sotomor is not a 0 cost, right? If anybody is playing Weave Earth, you probably shouldn't be right now, but if you are, this would replace that card. And it's just a 1-for-1 swap. This will be main boarded. You'll play it every single matchup, just easy. Why does that Bolton card look like it's from Aria? I'm not familiar with what you're referring to. The Bolton card? I'm not familiar with a Bolton card. All right. So let us go ahead and go to the topic. Like the thumbnail suggests. Shout out to Alex for for making the thumbnail. Anytime we can reference did I Why does that Bolton look like it's from Aria? Bolton card. That one went over my head, bro. I don't know. Oh, it takes an extra hand. Okay. I get it. We got there. Oh man. I do think Bolton's gonna get a specialization. Assuming So the thought process and shout out to let's go ahead and dig into this real quick. We're doing this on the fly. We're doing it live. We are doing it live. So there's some art, right, on the homepage. I'm gonna go ahead and show this. So this is the art. Okay. Now, if you pay attention, now it is kind of unfortunate. Well, there's actually. Let's pull up the one without the Flesh of Blood logo because it is relevant. Shout out to DM Armada. He gets full credit for assessing this. I do not. So I just saw his video and was like, "Yep, that makes sense." The key art. Okay, so this is the important part, right? So down here in the corner, we know who this is. Old man, living legend right here. We got Oldham. We got Lexi right here. We can see Voltaire right there, or Shiver, whichever bow that is, right? So we got Lexi right here. We got Oldham, and then in the green we have Briar. It does look like she's wearing a hood, though, because it's dark and not red to represent the red hair, right? And then up here, we have Prism walking into Solana, and then you have Dorinthia, and then Cheyenne, right? And then over here, we got our man Bolton, right? So there's no reason, and it all makes sense, right? So Bravo is got the specialization, but in the art, if you paid attention, the art of Starstruck is Starvo. It's not Bravo, right? Well, they're the same people, but you know what I'm saying. Which is from Everfest, which is from Arya. Okay. And apparently somewhere in the lore, I'm not a big lore guy, but apparently in the lore, the people from Arya are going to help defend Solana. Is like the second phase of Monarch or whatever. So that's why Bravo got a specialization. And I don't understand why Dory's here. Somebody in chat will have to educate us. Because I ain't got a clue. Same for Cheyenne. Not a clue. So that's why all of those heroes are getting specializations. I would not get my hopes up if, like, there's no way Katsu's getting a specialization here, right? He got one last set. I doubt Kano's getting one. I doubt Dash is getting one, right? It just kind of doesn't make any sense thematically, and it seems like LSS puts a very high priority on that kind of stuff. Kevin, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. I'm glad you love the streams, man. It's a blast doing them. Yeah, and somebody in the Alabama Discord actually went in through all the lore, and Dory's a Solanian soldier. That makes perfect sense. Somebody like named all the heralds. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 8 heralds apparently, up here on the top of both sides, and there's not been anything else. The only thing that looks, is that a scale? Is she holding that scale? I'm not sure. There's nothing else to like really notice, but the fact that they produced this key art kind of tells us a lot of information, right? That's why somebody mentioned Bolton, obviously, as the joke, but I believe that that's why Bolton will get a specialization in this set, assuming that the spirit from the last set did not count, or not Outsiders, but Dynasty. That could have been, that could have been his. Not sure. Herald of Justice has skills. That makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. So yeah, what we can also kind of delineate from my spoiler is Briar got an Earth card, right? So all three heroes in Aria have a main element. They have two elements that they um, utilize, but basically they are they each have a main element, right? Lexi's is lightning. Then you have, and it's all basically around the weapon, right? Um, Rosetta, Earth, Voltaire, lightning, Winter's Well, ice. That is the main element of the hero. So the three specializations that I'm assuming we are getting this set, the Oldhim one will be revolved around ice, and the Lexi one should revolve around lightning. So from the Lexi one, it should have like a frazzle kind of effect, something like that. Deal an extra damage, light it up, kind of, kind of vibes, if you will, right? Um, yeah, and Oldhim, think like Endless Winter, kind of vibes as well. So, um, excited to see those. I think we all know who's going to get the Lexi one. Pretty sure Yuki will will more than likely get that one. I hope she does. She's kind of been the spearhead on that one for quite some time. So, um, and I also think they're gonna announce the specializations like one a week for the next 3 weeks until we actually hit spoiler season. That's my guess. I'm not sure. I don't have any insider information. Alex just messaged me on Twitter saying, "Hey, we need your help spoiling this card," and I said I would love to. So that's what I did, and yeah, so that's all for spoilers that I have. Somebody brought up that, and I just figured I'd bring up the word art or the key art and kind of explain that. Okay. So, on to the main topic. Okay. So, the main topic is opportunity cost. That's what we're going to be talking about. And then we're going to finish up with, we're not playing Oldhim games. I didn't get an Oldhim spoiler, right? We're going to play some Briar when we get done with this. We're going to do it right. So, what do I mean when I say opportunity cost, right? We have to define that before we kind of go in and explain it, right? So let's define opportunity cost. Okay. Opportunity cost is a term that says when you have a choice between two decisions, you pick one. Opportunity cost represents what you could have gained from making the other decision. Not the decision you chose, but the other one. Okay. So let me give you a very basic definition that kind of applies to everybody, right? We buy and sell cards, right? Just about everybody here probably has either bought or sold a card. And no, you're good. You're good. I just should have been better at like understanding it was a joke. That was my fault. Yes. Yes. Opportunity cost of going to an RTN versus playing Diablo 4 this weekend. Well, you see, that's a great point, though. I mean, you're giving up one thing, right? And that is a great example. But the example that I was going to give was, let's say you have a card. We're going to say, I don't know, a spring tunic from WTR Rainbow Foil, nothing like crazy, just standard WTR tunic. I think right now it's worth like $250, right? Let's say you don't need it anymore. You have the choice to either sell it right now and gain $250, or you can hold on to it in hopes that it appreciates, right? So the opportunity cost, let's say you held on to it. your opportunity cost is $250 right now. Versus if you took the 250, your opportunity cost would be the delta of whatever it appreciated or depreciated to. Right? Because you are giving that up to actively make another choice. Now, how does that apply to Flesh and Blood? Okay. The number one biggest mistake that I see people make when in regards to opportunity cost is when you are playing a very aggressive deck and you put D-Reacts in it. Yep. How many times have you played against that how many times have you played in that Briar mirror match, right? And one person's running D-Reacts and the other person's not. Let me explain the opportunity cost equation in that exchange. So everybody looks at the D-React, and the argument is their whole deck is 0 for 4s, and I have a card here that always blocks 4 no matter what the situation is. Why would I not run this? Right? The problem is the Briar matchup is very tempo heavy. And that's why I said I didn't say opportunity cost of running D-Reacts. I said opportunity cost of running D-Reacts in an aggressive type of deck. Or a more aggressive would be a correct way of putting it, right? When aggressive decks play each other, it's very tempo oriented, right? There's never typically a moment where both people typically just are always trying to gain tempo during the match, and one might effectively gain it for a turn or two, but it's just a constant. There really is no tempo in a lot of aggro matches. It just doesn't exist, right? You're just flinging cards at each other. However, a D-React, no matter how you put it, right, is tempo negative because you can only do one thing with it. Okay? Let's look at Come to Fight and Sink Below as our example. If I run Sink Below, and there's ever a point in the match where I obtain full tempo and I draw that card off my deck, I just lost a card's worth of tempo for absolutely nothing. Right? Because I'm forced to make a play that involves putting it into my arsenal, if I can even do that. That may not be possible, right? Whereas Come to Fight is technically weaker, right? You need the embodiment to block 4, but it always has an offensive capability to maintain tempo. So you are taking a slightly weaker card in one category to balance for both effectively is what you're doing. How do we convince Pablo to win something with Briar and send it over the line for the 3P? Let's not and say we did. No. I said this last time. Playing Briar, I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship that I can't walk away from. I basically just every other week I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play something else, and then I always just go back to it, no matter what. It's just how it is. So yeah, Come to Fight and Sink Below. One can only be used defensively or for pitch, if you want to call it that. And then Come to Fight can be used both ways. Would you consider Katsu to be the exception? That's a great point. Such a great point. Kevin, I'm glad you said it. Because Katsu pays a different opportunity cost. Let me break it down for you. Let's talk about cards like Spinning Wheel Kick. Let's talk about cards like Art of War, Razor Reflex. When you add those cards to your Katu deck, what's your opportunity cost? Your opportunity cost is if you draw that card, you no longer have the ability, you have to play it. You have to play it or pitch it. You can't Katsu it away for whatever you want, right? So therefore, you are paying an opportunity cost to play those cards, which is why Art of War has been so contested in Katsu list. It's probably the card everybody fights over the most. Most people agree that Razor's probably worth it. But Art of War, I've seen so many people just, you know, argue that it's worth it, it's not worth it, and that's a decision that the deck builder has to make. But you are 100% correct. If you're running Sink Below in Katsu, assuming it's not a very defensive matchup, right? Assuming, like against Oldhim, it is tempo negative, right? Because tempo's most of the time is not letting you land hits, right? So you're not going to be able to use that card offensively. But if you're like in a mirror match or something, or something along those lines, 100% drawing a Sink Below is not tempo negative because you can discard it to Katsu and go about your way, right? So effectively, you could look at the Katsu hero ability. I'm really glad you mentioned that. You could look at the Katsu hero ability, and it could literally just say on it, hey, this is here to reduce opportunity cost. You can run a bunch of random 0 cost, but go get the one you want. All you have to do is just run enough cards to kind of make it hit, right? That's all you have to do. Okay, so what's another example? Let's talk about fatigue, right? We will result to, okay. So for fatigue, I'm gonna stick with Briar for my example, but it all comes down to the same thing, right? Just use an example. I'm gonna use 2 examples for fatigue. I'm gonna use Chain and Briar. So Briar first, right? What are the 2 most common anti-fatigue strategies to beat Oldhim with Briar? You pretty much have Evergreen and Rites of Replenishment. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Evergreen is a 3 cost, 7 attack. If you play it from Arsenal, it goes to the bottom of your deck. And it blocks 2. Whereas Rites of Replenishment is a 2 for 6 that says if you confuse it, put an attack to the bottom of your deck. And it blocks for 3. So the reason that I run Rites of Replenishment over Evergreen is the block value, right? Because let's say that you sit down in front of an Oldhim and you play against them, right? And you don't know whether they're fatigued or whether they're aggro. You have to build your deck in a way to where you're prepared for both, right? You just have to, because if you're wrong, then you just lose the game, right? And if you're right, you get to play a fair game. It's kind of messed up once you think about it. So the reason that I value Rites of Replenishment higher than Evergreen is if I'm wrong, right? Because if you knew the Oldhim was aggro, you wouldn't put Rites of Replenishment in your deck. It's not doing what your deck is trying to do. It's not a 0 for 4 attack, right? It doesn't make sense in the Briar list. So, because Rites of Replenishment blocks 3, and it's 2 cost, very important, because you could like Bramble, make an embodiment, Rites, Rosetta. Like that's a good line that you could take, or pre-med, Bramble, Rites. Like you can fit it in the curve with Rosetta, right? It's possible. It's rare, but it's possible. And it blocks 3. So if you're wrong, if the Oldhim ends up being aggro, then the card that you have no business playing anyway you pay less of an opportunity cost because now you can leverage more value from that card by blocking with it if you're wrong. So now it just so happens to be that Rites of Replenishment is also just a better anti-fatigue card because it requires less to execute the loop. But the reason that I was the one to stumble upon Rites of Replenishment revolved around the block, and I was trying to pay less opportunity cost in that matchup. Now let's look at a more extreme example, right? Because that's just 2 cards, right? It's a extremely valid point to just sit there and say, like, who cares if you're wrong? Like, it's 2 cards. Is it really changing that much of the game? Well, at the highest level, a couple block value can make the difference, right? But let's look at an extreme case, right? And, this, I'm going to go over something like, so Chain, right? For those of you that were around for Chain, you knew when you sat across from a Starvo, you had a decision to make. Do you run a clean 60 because he's going to try to flip over a Stalagmite and race you? Or do you think he's going to fatigue you and you need to put in your Eclipse package, and typically you ran like 66, 67, depending on what strategy you were on, right? And we of course remember the whole story of Tariq Patel and the knick-knack paddywhack, knick-knack bric-a-brac, whatever. And a lot of people gave him crap for it, and I don't like to, because I understand what his thought process was, right? He found a way to run 1 or 2 cards that said, look, by running this card, I pay the least amount of opportunity cost depending on which way my opponent decides to play the match. Right? Now, then you have the whole debacle of he didn't even play the deck, and that is irrelevant, right? Everybody has the choice to change their mind on what they want to play at any time, whether they write an article or not. That's part of competitive card games, right? But he did find a way to reduce the opportunity cost. I'll give him that, right? Like, he found a legit way to do it. You run, 61, 62, so you only have to run the extra 4 or 5 cards, and you can go grab the Time Snap Potion and set up for your big turn and knock them down that way if they go fatigue. Or you just block with it. It's crappy 2 block, but, it's not killing you, right? So, and then the Time Snap Potion is always a blue pitch in the more aggressive matchups, right? So that's another example. Now the next one that I'm going to go over, the next example, not of fatigue. We're kind of done with fatigue, but we are going to talk about kind of like cards that go against the synergy of your deck. And this kind of coincides with the poppers, right? For those of you who don't know what a popper is, I'm referring to any attack that is non-illusionist that has a attack power of 6 or higher. Because if a card has Phantasm, you can block and destroy the card with Phantasm, and it doesn't even resolve. So it's basically a way to battle illusionists, basically. And the problem with putting a bunch of poppers in any deck is not a good idea, right? Let me give you an example. Do you think that Briar could beat Dromai if they had 30 poppers in their deck? The answer is no, right? In fact, they would get slaughtered, right? Because they only have Rosetta Thorn. So if they wanted to kill a Mirror Guy, they would have to use one of the poppers to kill it. It would just be a bad situation, right? And it just doesn't help the matchup, right? And to shrink down the scale, what's the difference between running 2 and 5, right? The difference between running 2 and 5 is you can draw a hand with 2 poppers in your hand, and unless they play a Chroma, you basically Phantasm yourself, right? because you're an aggro deck and you have a bunch of 2 cost, right? And you're not going to be able to play those cards effectively. And sure, you stop their turn, but you're not going to have much of a turn, so they're just going to reestablish off of that. So you have to find like a fine balance. I've seen so many situations where a Viscera player loses against a Droma, and they're like, "Yeah, man, if I wouldn't have bricked there twice, I would have won." And then you ask them how many poppers they got. They got 6 amplifies, 6 runics, or 3 runics, 3 amplifies, 3 CNCs, uh, a couple down and dirty, whatever, right? Like every hand you draw is going to have 2 of them in there, right? And you're not going to be able to do anything. So it's not, you didn't lose because you bricked. You lost because you had a sideboard plan that made you brick, right? So you have to find a fine balance there. And Justin mentioned Kano in the chat. I know he's not talking about this, but he's not getting a specialization, bro. Oh man, if he does, I hope it's hot dog water, bro. But the big opportunity cost discussion about Kano is, do you run Eye of Ophidia or not? Right? That's, of course you don't run like D-Reacts and stuff. That's been decided. But do you run Eye of Ophidia? And it basically comes down to, this is where I'm at on it. I think you should run Eye of Ophidia if the matchup goes long and you can locate it and play off of it appropriately. But if the matchup's short and you can just lose by hitting it on the top, you probably shouldn't play it in that matchup. Because the opportunity cost is so great. Yeah, so that's basically opportunity cost in a nutshell, right? We went over the Katsu example. We went over D-Reacts, fatigue. We went over poppers, synergies, right? Just because you can play CNC doesn't mean you should, right? It just doesn't mean you should, because it's not exactly what you're trying to accomplish. Right? Would Kano run CNC? Nope. Nope, but it blows up their arsenal. Arsenal doesn't matter if they're dead, right? That's the goal. Stick to what the deck's trying to do. Don't hinder yourself trying to have a silver bullet, right? That's the main point, right? It's covering opportunity cost. Any questions from chat before we start moving into the Yale gameplay? Because that's all I got for opportunity cost. I just wanted to put that out there, that idea out there, right? And basically, just anytime, it kind of it revolves around the Josh once told me, we were talking about something, and I told him about a strategy. I don't remember exactly what the strategy was or what deck it was, but he looked at me and he said, I think you're playing to not lose instead of playing to win. And opportunity cost kind of goes into that saying, right? Is be mindful when you play, when you're playing certain cards or putting cards, it really matters in the sideboard, right? Just be aware of the opportunity cost you're paying on certain cards and really ask yourself, is it worth it? Because it not always, like, just like we mentioned in the last stream, right? When Prism was around, Bravo should not have put in 9 lethal charges and try to bully the Auras, right? One, you're way worse into a bunch of other matchups, and yeah, she's not going to go your way. So you're paying way too high of an opportunity cost. So yeah, we're going to go and get into the Briar gameplay. Because why not? We are on a slightly more aggressive list here. I'm just trying some stuff out, kind of preparing for the new meta. Hopefully, the Briar actually sees it and she doesn't LL. So we're gonna try a couple things. We are going to try a couple things. Just trying some stuff out. I think that's good enough. Blazing Aether, but it draws you cards. How about we don't and say we did? I do not like the idea of that. Axe's Dory gameplay win. That's first on the list when we get back, or when the BNR announcement happens and we get the new set. Once Oldham's gone, that's the first deck that I really want to try out. Okay, so this is really good. We want to take this because we want to turn on the Scar, and we got the bait set. So we are good there. Okay, we need to respect this. We have 2 cards. We have a really good hand. So I actually like giving this card. And he's going to activate his Zuri. If he doesn't, that's even better. Then we got away with it, and we get to save it. So here we get to make... actually, we don't do it that way because Talishar is dumb. So Talishar doesn't give us a choice when to discharge the Rune Chant and give it go again. So in Talishar, if I make the Rune Chant there, it'll actually turn off go again because he'll take the damage. But in real life, you get to choose the stack priority and change it accordingly. So we'll get some arcane damage in. Why not? Unless he wants to pitch for it. I'm more than happy to see that. Okay, we're using the armor quick, which on a Rosetta Thorn, which kind of indicates that he's planning on making some silver this turn, maybe. Not entirely sure here. This seems kind of sketch. Pitch to Codex. That really could have gotten. Just trying to analyze the situation, see where we're falling short. I don't really have like a really amazing play, unfortunately. So we might actually just get rid of it here now because we'll have the tunic counter next turn, so we don't need the Sink Blow. He could have a shred here, but that's fine. Swarming here is actually the lowest hanging fruit because Exude is a guaranteed 0 for 4 that I can throw the blue into, so it's not wasted. Whereas Swarming, I have to pitch the blue to turn it on and then go from there. So we're actually going to get rid of that. So this is fine. We'll just go 4 and 4. Hopefully it's red. It does. We got the yellow channel Mount Heroic. Yeah, you don't make a rune chant on the beginning because the way Talishar works. Well, Azuri is not an aggro deck. That's the difference, right? And in this, I mean, you got a good point, Jacob, but Azuri is about tempo and leveraging on hit effects, which is way different than like a Briar mirror match, right? Where your only hit effect is embodiment and snatch. I'm just trying to be out here and survive. We call this surviving. Bro, I'm gonna eat this. Play that CNC. I don't give a damn, bro. This is why we run Crown of Seas right here, everybody. We let that bad boy resolve, and we getting him out of there. Gonzo. He can give it go again. Don't care. I do not care. You can take all the cards. Oh, we got some sink belows. Okay. Chat. Let's goeth inneth. We have a couple options here. I don't want to Arsenal because I'm going to be off of the Crown of Seeds. He has on a 4-card hand, so I really need to get information first. We're going to play the Channel Mount Heroic, and then we're going to play the Scar because it is turned on to get information. And, okay, he blocked with literally the 2 best cards. So I think because we have armor, it's actually safe to pocket the Lightning Surge. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to turn the Nimblism into 4 damage via Rosetta Thorn. Because we do get embodiment here. So I think we're safe. And if it is worst case scenario, we can bail out with the crown. But because we have Channel Mount Heroic out, the worst this is CNC. And I have no problem with well, we got the counter, so that works too. Okay. Pitch a red CNC. Okay, we have this. We don't care about this. Sure. Oh, and he's going to go get one. Okay, that's fine. Because then he has no resources floating and we just block with that. That's why we run D-Reacts. Let's go. Let's go. He has no resources floating. We deal a damage. A whole damage. Bing. Got him. Got him with the bing bang pow. Damien, he's about to get the foo. If you guys have not joined, if you guys have not joined the nightly Discord chat, the general chat in our Discord, feel free to hop on by for a good time. It is a inexperience. It's an experience in and of itself, to say the least. Yes, keep blocking, sir. Keep on blocking. Yes, deny that embodiment. Whatcha? And the great thing about this is because we've gotten Crown of Seeds, if I rip Tome of the Harvest off the top, it's going in Arsenal. Or we get the nuts. Let's go. Okay, this is a little unfortunate here, but we can make this work. We can make this work. So we have... I don't like to Tunic counter Rosetta in this matchup because the Tunic counter is so valuable with the Crown of Seeds interaction to undo the Arsenal situation if they do have the disruption. So we're going to see what's on top because we might E-Strike draw a card depending on the situation. It is a Snatch on top. That is relevant information. He is taking the damage. Okay, he's not. Okay. So in this situation, because we've guaranteed the Snatch on top, I'm going to send the Lightning Surge and then E-Strike for 7 and then Arsenal the Bramble. So that way we keep the Tunic counter. He has another D-React here, or not. We'll do buff power. Because I don't think we've played a non-attack this turn, right? We have not, so it doesn't really... Rosetta doesn't make sense. And this is, like I said, this is such a powerful interaction here. Yeah, we don't care about E-strikes, bro. Don't know if you've talked about it, but how do you like the spoiler? Yeah, Jonathan, it's everything that Briar needs in a card, right? I kind of compared it to, what does this say? Defense reactions. We're not D-reacting here. Anyway, um, it kind of does everything that you want from in a Briar card, basically. And what do I mean by that? I compared it to like Glint the Quicksilver, Gaze the Ages, where it's like a high utility blue that has multiple purposes, that just does so many things, right? All we want to see here is not a shakedown or surgical. But, yep, we don't care about that. This is the power of it. We just go boop, take that tunic counter, Crown of Seeds, yoink, gone. And then we just go. Unfortunate, but it do be like that. We don't care about the frailty. Force of Nature's on the top, so we do have the option to snatch, snap, and then because he only has tunic for armor and it's on 3, which could fend off something. Because he could like Codex, get a. So I really want to push this tunic here. I really need to grab this tunic. So I'm gonna do snatch, something a little unconventional, and I'm gonna snap it. Or if you, yeah, that's what we got. We wanted the tunic. We got the tunic. So mission accomplished. We are gonna go ahead and do that because we still do not have an embodiment yet. And we're just gonna go ahead and throw the other one. Okay, we got the whole hand, which is great, and we will go and arsenal the. We know we have a force of nature on top, so I'm actually going to. We've seen the brambles for the fuses, so we're gonna arsenal the give and take, in case we have to scoot it out. Okay, we have a couple options here. We can overpitch for the Channel Mount Heroic, getting the Earth in there, playing the give and take, then Infectious Host, which is probably the line we do because he's almost at lethal. We can set up the Rabbles and close the game out. I think that just has to be the play we make. So we're going to overpitch here. Go ahead and send the give and take for 6 and then 7. Definitely get some blocks here. Hopefully he doesn't have a reaction. And we can get at least one of these big old Rabbles to the top of the deck. Or not. That's cool too. We like embodiments. We still have armor. We're sitting pretty. We have Channel Mount Heroic out. We have no attack. Bro, don't tempt me with a good time. What do we do here? Do we literally just block this and then like play another one? I don't know what to do here. Okay, so we have a couple options here. We did brick, unfortunately, but that's okay. What we can do to salvage the situation, he's at 3 life and we're at 21. We have tunic counter for the Crown of Seeds exchange. So what we could do is, I know you're thinking play the Channel Mount Heroic and maybe tunic counter, but I think the better play is to double pitch the Earth, which is why we blocked with the Force of Nature over the other two. And then go and swing Rosetta Thorn. This will keep the Channel Mount Heroic out there. Just leave it chilling for another turn. This will get some blocks here. In a perfect world, it will get him to pitch like that. And then he definitely doesn't take this. He has a D-react. Yep. And we're going to arsenal this Sigil and could even win us the game, depending on. Not win us the game like we won because we got Sigil, but okay, we're going to Tome next turn is the plan. Okay, so I really like this here because what we're going to do is he has full intentions of popping Black Tech Whisperers here. So what we're going to do is we're going to bait it out. We're going to pass. and then he's gonna pop the whispers or not, and then we're gonna either way sink below, get rid of one of these earth blues, and that's gonna allow us to still play the Tome of Harvest and still dig deeper. We just simply do not care. Pretty sure. Right? Because we need to attack and kill him. So we do not care. And he got a card that we did not want anyway. So we're going to go ahead and play this Tome of Harvest. Get it out of there. Look at that. That's pretty good. We drew a whole bunch of non-attacks in a row. I do like the opportunity to go ahead and play this rounds. Because we have a good chance on killing him with our. He has AB2, maybe not. Yeah, this just isn't enough damage to actually get there without this rounds on me, and we really want to take advantage of this Gentleman Heroic. So I think we have to risk it a little bit. We're actually going to go ahead and execute it. But I think we play the Force of Nature first because we want to play this Earth War Surge here, or we want to play the Force of Nature and fuse it. And then hopefully we draw an attack that does not have go again. We did not. But all the mana lines up where we can still swing Rosetta Thorn. The reason that I didn't do that is he is running a lot of D-reacts. That's why I didn't do I wanted to play this rounds on me first, because if we drew an attack without go again, because I don't have snaps, the embodiment would be sitting there waiting on us. Is the idea. But this will leak some damage, or at least prevent him from being the aggressor, and then we still have this to get him if he tries to clap back. Okay. Boy, do I have a present for you. Okay, the question is, do we actually care? Because we do have the aggression here. So what we can do is, he doesn't have anything that he has available to him. No tricks, no nothing like that. So what I actually like doing is just doing the armor here. And then in reactions, we'll take Tunic Counter, Crown of Seeds to kind of look for that blue to play this Earth War Surge is our goal. Because we're not really paying a cost to do it. And that works too, because it has go again, right? And what this is going to do is, he's at such a low life, we're going to pitch the, assuming this doesn't hit. Oh, this is great. So we literally just get to make our own hand. And anytime I'm presented this option, because we have tempo, we have to keep in mind that we're putting a Lightning Surge in Arsenal. So knowing that, what's the best thing that we can do? Well, it's probably, because we don't need to be greedy here. We don't need to go for a Channel Heroic. I think a Nimblism is good enough. Just a Nimblism and like another Rabble, I think, is exactly what we are looking for. No need to be greedy. And then we're going to take it slow, kind of hold back a little bit. No reason to keep pushing. We have him on the ropes. He's not going to go to 1 here. There we go. And that is game. So kind of a waste for the embodiment, but be all right. Boy, if this class ran fucking Buzzsaw Trap, bro, we would be messed up. We would be messed up. All right. We did it, chat. We did it. That's one in the books. Go ahead and update my counter. Pretty smooth. We did brick 1 hand. but that's okay. We stabilized. We kept Channel My Heroic out. Kind of got value from it breaking anyway. Is kind of the idea. This one's debated to go second or first here. I like to go second because it's the safer option, even without AB. And because they're on the crown package ever since Zach Bunn did hit his thing, I like to take the give and takes out, put the CNCs in. Sigil of Suffering is a very iffy card in this matchup because they could be running Vexing into you. You just don't know. Just really depends. Let's run it. All right, this hand's good if he doesn't attack. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see an Arsenal pass. Read the runes. Yep. Perfectly fine. We got nuts of a hand. So we're going to go ahead and fuse, break my rule of never playing Force of Nature, and we're going to get his whole hand. No way to sugarcoat it. If he gives me 2 cards on this, then sheesh. He might just jam the armor here along with like 2 cards. The highest probability is he takes it or he has to give 3 cards and a little bit of armor. But we get a lot of value if he lets us hit. Oh, we're getting valuable cards. Anytime we see a Ravel in the defensive part of the combat chain, it is a win. And we still get to Rosetta Thorn here. So if this doesn't hit, it wasn't all for nothing. He still is banking 5 damage. Worst case scenario, he has like an amp in hand. That'd be kind of unfortunate because then he gets like full value and it still has like a very productive turn. But we will see what he decides to do. Okay, we won't have an Arsenal. This doesn't do anything, so he's probably going to throw a Grasp in here and call it a day. Come on. Throw it in there. There you go. There you go. 1 card in hand. That means it is either a very important card like Cash In, and he wants to just hang on to it and pass, or he could have like Runic or CNC and Arsenal, and you kept a blue pitch. Or he has a Rune Flash in hand or something. Yep. So we called the Runic. It doesn't have a valid target, so this is just damage. And looking at, we don't have an embodiment, which kind of reduces our probable lines, which is unfortunate. We have a decent hand. What we can do is throw the Rabble out, see if it hits. It makes an aura, and then we can pitch and make a rune chant to Rosetta. So this hand does what we're trying to do. All right, so we're going to give the least amount of information as possible and just lead with the Rabble. Knowing that this is coming in for 2, he's very inclined to take it. So therefore, then we're going to make a rune chant, which is our second aura, which is going to make the Swarming come in for 4. With Nimblism, we'll pump it to 7. And then we'll go 2 and 2 on the back end for a good bit of value. We went 7 and missed on the Rabble for 2. So even with the Rabble missing, we still got 14 value on 4 cards, which is pretty good. Glad he ate all that because this hand just blocks. Okay, and he revealed a perfect split, and he's getting 2 blue Vexing Malice. Not sure if that's going to matter, but we will see. No matter what the game plan is, you never want to play this rounds on me into Viscera. This is just 4 block. It's very dangerous to give an extra card because he gets a lot of his value from playing the cards out, not the actual attack on them. So our main priority here is to crown, hopefully get an attack, and we will crown away the Autumn's or the Sotomar because it's least impactful here. This has a red mob attached to it, so we're gonna go and give the card here, and then kind of see where we land on the card. Okay, nothing really changed, but we do have a new line that is open for us. We have the ability to Bramble Spark Fuse, then pitch this round's on me to play the Earthlore Surge, and then nope, we can't do that because we don't have enough to pay for the Autumn's Touch. So, all the information is open and up front. So we know there's a Rosetta Thorn after this, which means we basically just need to block 4 here, block the physical and the Rosetta, pitch, make a rune chant, Arsenal, Bramble Spark. Seems to be the line with the least resistance, if I had to guess. But it is open information. We really want to get his life total. This hand might have cost us the game. Because the question is, the embodiment's worth it here. Because he could mauve. So we're actually going to take this 2 and actually send the Autumn's Touch. It's the same value either way because we were just going to pitch the Autumn's Touch and make a rune chant swing Rosetta, which is a value of 3. So we were going to block 2, send 3, which is 5. Instead, we're going to just play the Autumn's Touch, which presents 5s, but gives us the opportunity to get that embodiment. Actually, forget it. We're going to guarantee the embodiment. We're going to go ahead and play this Bramble Spark out. Just guarantee that embodiment. Too easy to block 5 here. And we just went through a lot of Earth cards, so the chances of drawing an Earth card in the next hand, very low for the Bramble Spark. We don't have the Crown of Providence to scoot it away. So this seems like the safest bet. We really need to get that life total down so that when he draws his cash in, we can pressure the hand. Okay, we'll take that. So we still got the embodiment. He has a 2-card hand. He's probably just going to read the runes and pass. He could have a blue and Rattlebones. It's kind of what I'm putting him on currently. Is blue and Rattlebones. I don't know what other line he would, or read the runes. Yep, that's what I said. Yep. Which is fine because our Scar is turned on. Okay, now we have a couple options here. Like I said, we need to get his life total as low as possible. Very scary what this card is. I couldn't tell last turn whether he played it from Arsenal or not. Don't know if that's been there. But what we do have the ability to do, we are at lower life, so we can leave with the Scar, which is obviously what we're going to do. Actually, man. I'm kind of thinking pre-med, Scar, Exude, Pump, Snap, Tunic, Counter, Rosetta. That's my line. Because none of these cards we really want to Arsenal, and we're at 16 life, so we need to push the armor into the center as soon as we possibly can. So that way we stay like out of Revel range, and he's taking this damage fairly quickly, which is a sign. Okay, so we're gonna snap this and pump it. Just get that life total as low as we possibly can. We probably die this turn, but it's the only line we had. Might should have given Grasp a little bit earlier. Maybe on that Rosetta swing on the last turn. Very good to hit off a Ponder. This is good if we can stay alive, but it also blocks. So we'll see what we can do. He was asking why Snap's there. And I said, because I might have to block with Tunic. And we were just trying to push life. Yeah, because I knew he had the cash in because he just clicked pass like super. And he has Mordred. So we just lose. But that's okay. That happens. Unless he just like bricked. But he's got red mauve. So, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're dying to Arcane here. Easy. More or revel me. So we got 4 arcane in the back. Okay, this is actually tougher than I thought. So basically, he could actually just kill us because he has Ironway. This could be anything. But we basically have to go here and here. Yeah, so that all Earth blue hand kind of cost us the game on this one. So best case scenario for us here, he just Rosetta Thorns, but yeah, I figured he had more. Well, he had the nuts. The nuts. Okay. I don't know why I copied that. I need to go here. Go up to the win-loss. Mark it down. Yep, that one happens. It do be like that. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how we could have played that one any different. We could have gotten Grasp in there a little bit sooner, but I mean, we just died of the Revel. Like, I think he had us by like 7 arcane, at least, because he got the Mordred on the cash in. We just weren't able to push enough. Yeah, I couldn't have blocked the Runic because it didn't have an on-hit effect. And yeah, I think that's just one of them games that can't do anything about it. When they draw the juice, they draw the juice. Best part about Taushar, the waiting. The waiting. I fall in the habit of blocking a lot as Zuri when I should be attacking. Oh, well, you deleted your comment or your message. We definitely want to go second to the 5. And we want to just run the most aggressive thing that we possibly can. We do want CNC instead of the give and take. So far, not a huge fan of the more aggressive leaning list. I just love my 4 blocks, to be honest. I really love me some 4 blocks. This is a good hand, assuming we can hit a go again off the Sonata. This makes it even better because we have the ability to filter. So I do like blocking with that makes more sense. I'm not sure what comes after, so I think we just block 2 here. Okay, so if this hits, reveal the top card of your deck if it's attacked action. You may play it this turn. He has not fired yet. This is the 3rd attack, so this hitting would open up the door for a theoretical mass trigger because, yeah, we can't let that happen. So we're going to give a little bit of armor here. Unfortunately. But he is coming off of an arsenal to do, what, 3 damage? A little bit of armor, too. That's fine. No worries. Assuming we draw an attack. This is drawing a attack. Jesus. Well, we really only have 1 line that we can really take. It's 5 go again into 4. Not the most exciting thing, but tell you what, with this CNC locked and loaded, I'd love to draw some premeditates. Just one time. I want 2 premeditates and a blue to win the game. All right, Mask of Momentum 5 without Kadachi's. So the thought process in this match is we just need to manage the game to where it doesn't get a mass trigger, which luckily does coincide with the strategy that I like to employ as Briar, and that's kind of like the more blocking. I don't like to just race. Which, oh, we got it. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Yep, cool. So this is our extra card because I kind of want to pre-med Scar and a CNC is like mad. But this is a good arsenal too, so like I don't hate it. Like if we want to block with armor, this is a good hand to do it. Okay. No mass trigger here. Probably E-strike for 7 here. What is happening? You could have like a mounting anger, maybe. Flame call, sure. Oh, we'll go ahead and give the. What are the chances that he lands on an arsenal? That's the question, because that dictates the power of this play. Is whether I think he's going to land on Arsenal, and so he's gone pretty wide. Phoenix Flame. That's got to be something he can play. He didn't block. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to block with the Premeditate, and we're going to do the standard. The Scar will have go again, so we're going to do the Red Earth or Surge Scar Rosetta. As crazy as this sounds, I'm going to walk away from this play because I think he's going to come off of an Arsenal, and we need to block now to deny the Mass Trigger because it's third hit. And if he does Arsenal, it'll be a Phoenix Flame, and it's not going to be like the best value. I'll just take the better number play any day of the week. Okay, the question is, do you throw the next one? Okay. Now we do have an option to jam the crown here to not have to worry about this unless it's a snatch. Which I do like the idea. I don't think we trigger crown, but I mean we could get away from the CNC. It is an option. We're kind of low on attacks. We drew a lot. So I think, and we even sunk one with the E-Strike. So I think I'm going to hang on to the CNC. I don't want to break Nick's turn. So Mask is turned off for this attack right here. Hopefully it's not a snatch. Anything else is fine. Please don't Arsenal. Please prove me right. Aha. So CNC, we made the right play on the... we read that like a book, chat. We knew he was going to come off the Arsenal based off the type of cards he was playing. We blocked 2 attacks at the correct Mass Triggers, which didn't... We made it easy for us to... Right, we jammed the armor when it was 2 instead of waiting till it was 6. Because he would have gotten a lot of value from that. We would have taken 1 more damage, and he would have drawn a card because we simply did not have the hand to block that for 6. Because if we would have taken the Phoenix Flame, we would have came in for 1 more. So, had a great read on that one. Great read. We take those. We take those, chat. The important thing is not to get tunnel vision, right? Before I drew the hand, I was like, give me a pre-med with this CNC. But it just wasn't the right play. When you see the Flame Call Awaken, it's like, okay, they're probably going to play every single card in their hand. Okay, so this is great because we have a lot of options here. We have a couple options here, actually. We have the ability to block with the E-Strike to stop the Mass Trigger, and we can... Okay. Play the channel Lightning Surge, Snap, Tunic, Rosetta. Or if he lines up his Phoenix Flame wrong? Like, if he... Okay, so this changes. What does this mean? What does this Okay, so he played Spreading Flames, which also means he has full intentions of coming off of an arsenal. Blocking this gets a lot of value because we don't have to worry about Mask of Momentum for the rest of the turn. So we might just jam the armor here. Ancestral Empowerment sucks here, but it's just something we got to live with if he has it. I wouldn't be surprised. Show it to me. Ancestral Empowerment. Okay, we got away. So we're out of armor, so we got to do it the old-fashioned way from here on out, but that's okay. The line just looks like it's going to be, yep, he can't extend too much further. It's just a Phoenix Family End, which gets around the mash trigger. So we're just going to play the CNC and Lightning Surge, and then hopefully be able to play a good CNC on next turn. Too bad this is a snatch. Man. This would be a whole different game if that was a snatch right there. Wait, snap it. Rip the blue. CNC for none. This CNC has not felt great. I mean, it's better than give and take, but... Come on, premeditate with the CMH. One time. Okay. We can't play the CNC. It's not valid. We're probably going to end up blocking with one of these. Hopefully, if it lines up correctly. And then Scar and then E-Strike for a bajillion is all we can do. Yep, we have to wait till the chain progresses, then throw our block out. We are looking to close the game out next turn, though. We just need to survive. This is the third Spreading Flames. Jesus. He's spreading cheeks out here. We don't have too many cards that we can block with, so... We have to wait till the third chain. And there's a good chance that he pushes it all the way to the end and creates another mash trigger. Yep, so this is our opportunity. We got to go ahead and stop it here. And he can very easily reach more chain or another mash trigger. But what we have to do is we basically have to, because we have a good chance at throwing the CNC. Currently, my line is Scar for 7, E-Strike for 8, draw a card, snap. Hopefully, we ripple blue or another attack, and then either play the attack or throw the CNC. So we got options. Yep. So as long as this doesn't produce 9, we're fine. Lava Burst, we lose the game. But what can you do? That is equally as bad. So how does that change? This is draw a card. We have to get lucky with a, which I don't even think we do because he has 5 armor left. We literally have to get lucky. We have to rip a blue or an attack off of this E-Strike draw card. We gotta do draw a card and we have to hit a blue or a attack to have a chance at the game. We hit neither. So that's game. Unfortunately, we're not gonna win this one. Can we identify why? It has to be the CNC, right? It's been there since turn 0, so we've been playing without an arsenal. Maybe CNC's just not worth it in this matchup. I mean, we're never using Snapdragons again. Very depressing CMH. Yeah, I think this CNC cost. See, I paid too high of an opportunity cost. See, this is the perfect hand that you want to get it with, right? Because you can Bramble, pre-med, throw it for 12, and then Rosetta. This was like the idea of why I ran it, but like it just isn't. It's not happening that way. Yeah. We're gonna give it to him there. There's no hand that he can brick on to put us back in the game. Okay. So no CNCs in that matchup is what I'm. Because the thought process has always been they don't run Crown of Providence, right? They run one of the two masks. Is the thought process. Say what you will about Oldham, I'm not going to miss not losing to worse players. You know what? I mean, that's kind of true. There's actually a lot of truth in that. And that's I'm glad you brought that up because I was at the calling Indianapolis and it was right after my feature match where I fatigued the fatigue Oldham, the one that everybody saw. And I was sitting down and we were getting deck check. So we were just chatting, right? We were talking about what events we had played and stuff like that. And I think we Arsenal nothing. We don't Arsenal anything. We're going in. So we were just talking about like what we were just talking about sorry if I can get it out. I'm trying to focus on the game and like talk. I was at the calling Indianapolis. We were getting deck checked, and it was like we were both 5-0. We were doing great, and we were just talking about what the events we've been to, things like that. And I was kind of like we were just sharing each other's like history of performance of like different events, and I was like, yeah, I went 20th at the first US Nats, 13th at the second. I've top 20, 5 callings, and so forth and so forth. And he goes, so what's holding you back from top 8? And I looked at him and not like I was insulted or anything, but like I looked at him like what he said was like extremely valid. Like, why would somebody was such a good history not be able to make top 8? And so I sat there for a solid like 30 seconds just thinking. Like long enough to where I was like, I let him know, like, hey, I'm not insulted. I'm just thinking on your questions. And basically, we have to eat this, unfortunately. We just have too good of a hand otherwise. But I literally looked at him. I couldn't come up with a good answer. I literally looked down and I said, it's because of this. And I pointed at my hero card. I love Runeblade. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, I just got the Briar specialization spoiler, right? Like, I just love what the hero does, what all the... I've won a RTN or a ProQuest with every single Runeblade. It's just about all that I've played. But playing Runeblade, exactly like Pokey said, I've lost so many matches against players that I shouldn't lose the game to. And it's nothing to like insult them, right? Like, but we've all been there, right? When we first started the game, we walked into an armory, right? And if you haven't seen the the consistency versus high roll stream that I did, I highly recommend you go back, not just as like a marketing thing, but I think it's one of the best streams that I've done. And it just goes over like when a great player plays a deck like Runeblade, they can lose to somebody that's not as good just because of the fact that hands can brick. Right? And it's super unfortunate, but it is what it is. Whereas Oldhim can draw a bad hand, right? Like I don't like 3 spinals and a blue, right? Like that's a bad hand. But let me tell you, that hand blocks 9 and presents 4. Or blocks 6, arsenals a good red threat and sends 4, right? You can still extract 13 value from that hand. If I draw all earth blues, I can extract 10 value from that hand, maybe. Especially in Oldhim, it's rare that you just have full tempo and it's like not contested in any way. Briar, it happens all the time. So if you draw that hand while you have uncontested tempo, you just give them tempo for free. And it's the worst feeling in the world. Literally, the worst. So it just super feels bad. And I started recognizing this at U.S. Nationals, the most recent one. I did great. I landed 13th at U.S. Nats with Rusted Relic in my deck. But at the end of the day, it wasn't top 8. Granted, I didn't top 8 because I drew. That's a whole nother story that I'm not going to get into. But I know for a fact, okay, I'm not the type of person that has an ego that could sit there and say, oh, if I was playing Oldhim, then I would have top 8 every single one of them. No, I would not have. But what I can confidently say is I would have top 8'd one of them at least. If I was on, maybe not Oldhim, but just a more consistent hero in general. Because I've just lost so many games by just drawing, now that's countered. There's a counter argument there, right? How many games does Runeblade just auto win, right? Because there's the correct sequence, Force of Nature, Channel Mount Heroic, for example, right? There's the correct sequence in your deck, so you just like win the game. You just puke your cards out and you just win, right? um, that's like extremely valid. Um, but I would counter that with how many of those games did I free win against players where I needed it? Right? Because I can low roll and lose to anybody. But I only extract value from a high rolling somebody if I needed it. That's the only way I extract value from it. Is if I needed the high roll to overcome the skill gap or whatever the case may have been. And yeah, so don't get me wrong, I still love Runeblade. I'm playing it right now, right? But I've recognized as a player that I need I need to like I need to change something. I need to, kind of branch out and um this is kind of risky. I really want to This doesn't have go again. He pitched a scout? So that means we have a snap into code. What is happening? Sorry, chat. Break on the conversation. I gotta dice this one up. Why would you pitch a scout? Oh, because he hasn't. I need a software update. I'm so confused. Okay. The safe play is to block with these two cards and wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Right? That's the safest play. The funnest play is blocking with crown. No. I'm over here talking about more consistency, and I'm over here trying to just like beat the brakes off of this person. Oh man. So so yeah, it basically just boils down to um I need to evolve as a player. Frailty trap? Yep. Okay. I need to evolve as a player and start playing more consistent decks. If I want to accomplish the goals that I have for, my competitive flesh and blood, um, I don't like using the word career, but whatever my goals, my competitive goals for flesh and blood. Am I a sadistic for playing a bad deck or the pseudo counters to the meta? So that's an interesting. That's the whole reason that I played Briar at the Pro Tour. I was actually off of Briar like a month before Pro Tour. However, we kind of came to the realization that there's a very good chance that just Oldhim was the best deck. And because Oldhim was the best deck, what's a hero that's great into Oldhim? So you have somebody that's basically a Runeblade addict, right? And a situation molds itself to where it is good to play a certain hero. Damn right I'm gonna play it. Right? Like why wouldn't I? So that's what I did. And yeah. He loaded this, so I need to block. What do I block with? I want a pre-med. I want least amount of exposure possible. This won't have go again, but it is more fluid than this. Channel my heroic situation is a bunch. I think we set up. Hmm. A lot of attacks in there. Kind of sketch. So we're going to go here and here. This does waste the ponder. But we haven't seen collapsing trap. And there's a very good chance that he could collapsing trap here. And get rid of my last card. Instead of its frailty. And now we don't have a ponder token. So now if we would have kept the E strike, we couldn't actually get the ponder. So here we get the ability to scar, get the ponder, and then actually if this, so he's indicated that he's probably going to let it hit. He hasn't shown any signs of fate, or we do have the option to tunic counter Rosetta, but we do have a frailty, so we're only extracting 3 value from the 2. But we might need to do that because we have a lot of attacks in our graveyard. So what are the chances we actually need that? Oh, but the rabbles are there, so we do need it. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. I'm not losing the Riptide. We are managing the game. That is what we're doing. Premeditate. Premeditate on a rabble, bro? Do we just kill him? Let's think here. So what we can do is we can... That's super risky doing it that way. I don't like him just getting a card for free because we haven't seen the legendary traps, which is kind of sketch. I need to like lower my exposure to him. So by doing that, we don't need Channel Mount Relic. This is Riptide. Let's go ahead and just cover it up and deny that draw. I don't think we trigger unless we trigger the Sonata that could potentially lead to a 0 for 4, and that would allow us to arsenal the E-Strike instead if we do get a 0 for 4 with Go Again. So it's basically just a free look to get a free arsenal, which I do not hate. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay. So literally no change. We didn't really want to draw that card anyway. And then we just do Go Again for 10, 2 and 2. That is tempo. We play around, collapsing trap. We have no hand. He'll still get the damage, of course. We only get punished by Buzzsaw here. And we widen the life gap. Yeah, so back to your pseudo counter. I am a player that has always enjoyed targeting the meta more than playing the meta. But that's because it's been a while since Runeblade has been like the true meta. There was that one event, Indy, the second calling in Indy, where we thought Briar was meta, but it was really just ice. So this is a perfect scenario. So here we just go bam, bam. And depending on what we hit here, we can snap this in Tunic Rosetta. If we hit anything. Yeah, you're gonna need that, boss. You're gonna need that life. We are gonna snap here. We just get value from the tunic. Arsenal of Snatch. We still got a lot of like explosive turn. We got pre-meds left in the deck. We can draw some of those. Makes D reacts non. Oh, he can play him now, but that's fine. Sure. It's all you, Chief. Just gonna tunic counter Rosetta anyway. He played 2 sigils? The fuck? Super tempting to play the Snatch out here, but we don't, because it's Tar Pit Trap, we don't get any of the on hit effect. So it just makes no sense to play it. We're just going to swing Rosetta. Negate that Sigil of Solace. Bring him back down to Earth. Set up for a decent turn. Here we go. All right, we got a couple options here, but I think the least attractive card's here, so there's no reason to go ahead and fuse now because we'll have the other Earth anyway. So we're going to go ahead and Earth here. Okay, we still have options here, so we're a little bit too exposed currently. We don't want to play this rounds on me. So I think we just go here. Trying to minimize the damage of Collapsing Trap. Go ahead and play this. Play this. We get blown out hard by a Buzzsaw Trap, but you know. The hand didn't really do anything else. And no matter what, we can get the Rosetta after. This does mean Buzzsaw Trap. Yep, there it is. Good block. And I do favor the Rosetta because it's kind of 2 cards because there's no way. Yeah, it is 2 cards because unless he wants to give me Trenching at a 1. Yeah, there's no reason to play Lightning Surge here. Yeah, I've always been the person to play the counter. When evolving / exploring to other heroes, do you think you'll stay on aggro, switch styles too? Well, I've never particularly played Briar in an aggressive manner. I've always like preferred 4 blocks, you know, come to fight, stuff like that. Always been a huge proponent of more like blue block 3 non-attacks. So I've never really played her in that way. Just because I don't really get much enjoyment from it. We are going to go ahead and close the game out, or attempt to close the game out by attempting the double Sonata. We'll see. See what happens here. We will take the card with Gogan. We will play said card with Gogan. And we wanted to play the one from hand first because if Collapsing Trap happens, he gets less value, whereas, or less unknown. It's the same value because it's -1 card every time. But at least, okay, what was on top? Blue Earthor. Okay, keep that in mind. And we're going to close the game out with this Exude, more than likely. Because this is a card, and we put a card on top, which of course is going to be a Rabble. Call it a day. No need to think about it too much. We'll go ahead and throw the 4 out, and then depending on what the hand situation is, we'll. So it's definitely Rosetta, and that'll close it out because he's only got AB Well, he has AB3, I guess, but then he dies to the physical. So if he takes this, so that should be game. GG. Yeah. So to finish answering your question, sorry. I was distracted. You know, a lot going on. I am really looking forward to playing a truly like mid-range hero. Like I'm not kidding when I say I'm seriously looking at Axis Dory. It's not a meme. The deck is good. Um, I just have to figure out if that's truly the direction. So if anybody hasn't watched the meta analysis is what the title is, but it's more of like a RTN recap plus like a little analysis part at the end with me and Josh. It's like the most recent video other than his deck tech on the YouTube channel. We kind of during that video I mentioned that with Oldhim leaving the format, I actually think, and this is kind of a hot. Oh God, not Icelander. Jesus Christ. I don't even know. What do I do? Help me. Help me. Yeah, more blues, I guess. I'm so unprepared for this matchup. I ain't played it in a minute. So yeah, it was basically GG boss. I mentioned in the video that when Oldhim leaves the format, this is a hot take, but I think the format will slow down. Now, how does that make sense, right? Oldhim has been the one to slow down the meta, so why would the meta slow down when he leaves? Well, my answer to that would be the idea is this is how we lose the game. The idea is I think Ice Lexi in particularly, unless there are bans put in place, will be so oppressive. This is also assuming we don't know what is going on with the new heroes, which we don't. But I think that Ice Lexi, not like traditional, but like Fuseless Lexi with a heavy ice sideboard is going to be so oppressive that we just play here anyway to get something. And if he gives us the Frostbite, we go here. If not, we go here. Sure. Yeah. And I think it'll be so oppressive that it will push the aggro decks out of the format, essentially. Boy, if Affecting Host gave Frostbite. Boy, that'd be the dream. But yeah. So I think that Ice Lexi specifically will be so oppressive to the format that it'll push every aggro deck out of the format. And the only way decks like Briar, the Ninjas specifically, I'm looking at them, the only way they can combat Lexi is not with Mask of Momentum triggers. The best way is going to be like flick flack oriented, like defensively, right? So your aggro decks are going to be playing on more of a mid-rangey defensive axis, right? And I think that is where the format will start to go. So that is my guess. I think the format will actually slow down after Oldhim leaves due to Ice Lexi. That's all predicated on the fact that that Lexi does not receive some type of hit in the ban announcement. Of course, for those of you who don't know, the next ban announcement is not in June. I believe it's July 3rd. Um, I really don't have a good turn. So, yeah. The reason you pitch the Force of Nature here is if he can produce a Frostbite and somehow Brain Freeze, I don't want him to have the invert ability or the innate ability to pull the Tome of Harvest from my hand because it costs 3. Where's the 0? So yeah, I just think that that's where July 3rd is the next PNR. And I'm not saying that they should hit Lexi. I'm just saying that if they don't, I think the deck will be not like there'll be a lot of ways to beat it, right? You can still play Dromai and beat it. You can probably fatigue it with Bravo, find a way to anyway. You can, beat it with Azuri. I'm not saying that it will be overpowered. What I'm saying is that the single-handedly the deck will remove the aggro elements from the game. Dromai is not aggro, right? Or at least not one that can fight Ice Lexi. Mara's list will have to go to Big Dragon if Ice Lexi becomes a thing, right? So yeah, that's what I think. It'll push the aggro decks out and force decks like Azuri, Bravo, stuff like that to kind of play in the game. I like the hot icy take. Absolutely. Shout out to Fabry. They got that stuff up in a heartbeat on the spoiler. Shout out to those guys. Think they might take some power out of Lexi, but the question is, what do they take? I don't know. It's definitely not going to be something so severe. Like you can't take Voltaire. You can't touch New Horizon. Like it. I don't know. All right, what the hell does Iyslander do with 5 cards? Literally. What is happening? Deal 3 arcane damage to any target. If Icebind was fused, deal damage to a hero. If you freeze a card in Arsenal until the start of your next turn. What if I want to crown it away, bro? Just gonna crown that shit. You got it, boss. Ban chilling ice fan. Yeah, what is he doing now? Wait, is Waning Moon with a red? What's happening? Oh, I clunked up the sigils in his. So he has more than one sigil. I need to keep that in mind. So he has more than one sigil. It's an important note. I mean, if we could have it my way, we would take 3 of a kind and we would errata it to 2 of a pair, where you only draw 2 cards. No, I'm just kidding. That's not a legit thing that we can do. But man, it would be funny. Okay, this says heroes can't draw cards, reveal cards, or search for effects. Okay, so that means we need to go ahead and activate Crown. And we need to pitch the Bramble Spark because we're not going to be able to reveal for the fuse anyway. And we need to do this before this revolves anyway because this prevents us from drawing. And it says search effect. So search your graveyard. This does not say search. So we can still execute give and take if we so please. I do like the idea of grabbing a friendly lightning surge. And he's on the sigil plan, so we might actually grab the Exude. We get a higher EV from a card like that. We'll just have to see. Bump Voltaire up to 2 calls per load. No, that would just wreck the deck. It would make the weapon just unusable. Yep, it would just make it unusable. Okay, you have your channel, the Bleak Expanse. Expanse, yeah. So we only have one line. We just nimble into the give and take. And we can actually, because we know all the face-up information, we go and play the Surge out and then take the Tunic counter to Rosetta. That does come in for 9. That's a nice little healthy number. I wish this was a red one. This is the second blue one we've played. If these were red, boy, we'd be... Oh, I fucked up, chat. I messed up. We do not pitch that. Because give and take costs 1 and we can't Rosetta. So unfortunately, we actually have to just play this for 6 and then Rosetta after arsenaling the Earthwar Surge. Math was slightly off. Ban Arctic Incarceration. It legit could be the answer. Something like that. Like, she can't have what she has now and her ice package. The two can't exist. Because then it basically comes down to you can only compete on one axis, which is just not good. Yep, we knew she had that, so that's okay. We have 1 prevention, so that's going to reduce the frostbites that we get, so we can actually still swing Rosetta. Sure. Prevent 1 with Crown. Oh, didn't fuse it, so we can still just swing Rosetta. Cool. Yeah. So it could be you could do things like take Bolt and Shot out. That could be one. You could take Rain Razors. You could take 3 of a kind. Not all of them. I'm saying pick one, and that's like more than enough. Yeah, I think if you did hit Arctic Incarceration, like they said in chat, I think you have to take Winter's Bite too. And that's kind of weird. Normally, I would never arsenal this card, but because we have Crown of Seeds, it is gas. And the good part about this situation is we can respond to his activation if he has anything and go look for a blue in this situation. I'm going to go look for a blue via this way. Give me that Autumn's Touch. One time. Really, the reason I played this first was I'm just trying to bait it out so I can activate the Tunic off of his activation, like such. Because if I activate Tunic before he makes his move, then he will keep going before my Tunic resolves, which means I can't pay for the Crown of Siege yet. If that makes sense, chat. So we're going to let my Tunic resolve, and then we're going to go ahead and Crown away, which means this card is useless. Hopefully we grab a blue. Now, hopefully this doesn't mess up our Sonata. Okay, we did grab the blue. Blue secured. Now, don't reveal like 3 attacks, because then we would have messed up our own Sonata. That'd be so sad. Okay. So it resulted in the same because we had a non-attack on each side. So it didn't save us or it didn't hurt us. So we'll take the 1 card that we can. Which is okay because we have enough equity where we can eat strike, give and take Rosetta. And then we'll give and take Rosetta. Setting up for the we'll put the Lightning Surge in Arsenal. Call it that. It would make Guardians with Rampart unbeatable because they could just stack up counters on it and fatigue it even easier. I think making Voltaire. Okay, so the last result, or the last thing that you ever want to do, like the last possible thing that you would ever want to do, is do an errata. It is the last thing you would ever want to do. Because it makes the game a headache to play. Right? Because it sits there and says instance, but then you're like, correct. Like on a hero, it's not that bad because enough people interact with hero cards, but not necessarily weapons. We're playing the Lightning Surge over Rosetting because he has 2 float. And I don't want to give him the option to AB or Waning Moon me. I want to make him pick one or the other. And we crowned, so we still prevented one. Look at that. That's value. Call me crazy, but are we just playing this Channel Mount Heroic as a Nimblism? No, we are not. Yes, I would like to pay 1. So let's do this, fusing this, and then play this, which won't have go again, but it is coming in for 5. So it's either he gives me Cornet Peak or 2 cards, which means if he gives me the 2 cards, all he can do on his turn is Cornet Peak me, and then we might actually get this channel out, which is pretty good. Dustblade should be unbanned. No, it should not. It did not take long at all to figure out that card was busted in half. That card is actually dumb. Well, at least pre-med pitches. Or it discards. Okay, we do have channel the Bleak Expanse. Is that going to affect my turn? I do not think it does. I'm not searching for anything. Yep, so we're going to say no, and we're going to discard this guy, and then you're going to arsenal your Bleak Expanse. We're going to go about our day. I'm going to play Channel Mount Heroic, make a Rune Chant, and Swarming. Actually, I can't make the Rune Chant, unfortunately, because he's going to make a Frostbite. Assuming. Let's see what he does from here and then analyze the situation. I don't think Endless Arrow is enough, to be honest with you. If I'm being completely honest. Like, does Endless Arrow actually, like, let aggros compete? I don't think it does. And when I say it pushes the other aggro decks out, it's like there's always a best aggro deck, and that's okay. Like when Fi was not like Stubby Hammer's Fi, but like when Fi was the best, like the world's meta, right? Like it was the best aggro deck, and like that's okay. But you should at least be able to play another aggro deck and like have a shot. Right? If you ever have an aggro deck that's like 70-30 into the other aggro decks, it's kind of unhealthy. Um, or unhealthy is the wrong word. It's just going to slow the format down because it's going to be like, play this hero. If you don't like this hero, go play something mid range or control to counter it. I think my channel's better than his. Falcon Wing wouldn't do it either. It's got to be one of the power cards. What if they give us Belittle back to try and compete with Lexi? Does it compete with Lexi? What? Okay, so if you add, let's say Fi gets Belittle again. The unique thing about Lexi is she actually blocks very well. And if you play Lexi appropriately, you actually are blocking fairly often. Right? Like, I won't say fairly often, but like 9 times out of 10, you shouldn't be 3 of a kind on a whole hand. You should like block with some, and Azalea doesn't typically run Rain Razors. She does, and it's usually only at like 1 or it wouldn't affect her. And 3 of a kind is not played in either one of those. 3 of the kind is the lowest hanging fruit. It's like the simplest answer. I don't know if it's the correct one though. Frost sure. Okay. So I can't fuse. I need him to give me a frostbite so I can double pitch this earth. Now I can fuse. Please give me a frostbite. 1 time. 1 time. Frostbite, baby. Please. Please. Too bad that channel went away. This motherfucker will be coming in for 8 hot. All right, be coming in for 9 because of the +1. Okay, he surely has to give. Yeah, okay. This is kind of I mean, this is the great thing about Crown of Siege, right? Like I can arsenal this tome and not even think about it. Super convenient. I'm gonna kind of bait him here and like, oh, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. Save the day with that blizzard, bro. Put him to sleep with the double earth. Now we keep channel around and deal 5 damage. Yeah, Bolton shot suspended until Lexi becomes ill. That's fine. I think that would do it, right? The problem is when you introduce enough ways to put a card in Arsenal for free, you remove the tax associated with all Ranger cards are above rate by design because you have to factor in the cost to, or if you remove the cost, the cards are above rate on the card because you have to pay the cost to get it in Arsenal. But if there's a bajillion cards that remove that cost, then you're just playing a bunch of cards above rate. And it's not like Briar has to work for her go again, right? Well, here we unfortunately have to play this rounds in hope. I don't know. I don't hate this. My hand sucks anyway, bro. Okay, what do we do? He has a channel, tunic counter, pitch 4. This round's on me. Hopefully draw a 0 cost attack. Better than playing Rosetta Thorn, so if we rip any 0 cost attack, we win the game. Because it's coming in hot for like 10 and 1. Card in a dream. Let's go, chat. Energy. Suspense. Come on, one time. Don't be Runeblade. Oh, I love this game. Oh, I love this game. We drew an attack, chat. It's just the one we didn't want. And we gave him the card to block with. That's the worst part. Oh, no. Oh, no, chat. We gave him the card to block with. See, Oldham can't draw a hand like that, man. Give me a card. Arsenal, Chain Lake Frigid. Cool. At least we have an embodiment of lightning, I guess. We pitched fucking 3 cards, do nothing. We pitched 3 cards to give him a card, is what we did. Productivity to the max, and then he has God. Okay, we have to be smart here, chat. We know he has Channel Lake Frigid, and he does not have a priority window here. So what we actually have to do is we have to send the E-Strike for 7. We have Go Again built in. And the reason we have to do that is we need to get it out. And it needs to be specifically buff power. The reason that is, if he decides to play this, which is a 2-card exchange, then to not die, he has to block with 2 cards, which means he can't keep it on his turn, right? So then it'll go away, and then I'll Arsenal the Rabble and go about my business, right? That's the dream. So that's no steak chimichanga right there. What's up, Travis? Yeah, that's like the second hand we've gotten like that tonight. Hashtag Runeblade problems. It do be like that. It do be like that. Yep, we know he's going to do this, and now he has to give me 2 cards to not die, which means he no longer has Cornet Peak, so there's no way that he can get that card in the pitch zone to keep the channel out, which is the whole reason we did that play. I mean, our turn's dead, right? But now we're like set up for next turn to like actually do something productive, so we're fine. So we will just Arsenal the least impactful card, which is actually Sonata. Right? Because we can't even Rosetta here. Yep, so we pass. Sure, you got it. You're dead next turn anyway. So still pass. Okay. Not the most attractive hand, but we take it. So in this situation, we lead with the Rabble to see if there's an attack on top, which gives us information. But he's going to lead out first, which is okay. Because depending on what he puts into this, it could get him killed, basically. Because I'm in a situation where I'm ready I mean, I'll just get this Sonata out of here. I don't care. And I'll rabble and surge. Like, you're at 1 with no armor, so breakpoints like kill you, literally. He has a channel and 2 cards. Cost of 4, that's 2 frostbite. Yeah, that doesn't even stop me. You got it, Chief. Oh, sure, whiff. Yep. Jeez, what is happening this game, bro? Brick hand, miss on the Sonata, blue on the rabble. We're struggling out here to get these dubs. We have the option to just snap this and Rosetta. Struggling to get there, man. But we got there, I guess. Yeah, just I was gonna do that. I mean, I'm gonna snap this and then send Rosetta, but just in case he has like a Sonata there, or not a Sonata. I'm so stupid. A Sink Below. You gotta play around Sigil and all those possibilities. So, yep. So GG and main menu. I think I got about 1 more in me, chat. I think I got about 1 more in me. Oh, what's the update? We're 3 and 2. I'm so bad at updating this chat. I'm so bad at it. I promise I'm trying. Oh, and the thing's not even full screen. Over here, like it. Y'all letting me lack over here. Over here lacking. It really is the ice package that's the issue, but that's a problem with ice versus aggro altogether. Yeah, it ice in this game. See, this is where my inexperience, unfortunately, kind of bites me a little bit because I never played Magic, right? And I've heard everybody and their mama talk about how much they hate blue players or, whatever the case may be, right? I've heard that 1,000 times, right? I'm gonna try something different. Let's just go and see what happens. Let's try something new. Let's go, chat. Sometimes it happens. Your move. Just in that really deep voice. They hate us because they ain't us. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't. Oh, he's got the card guy sleeves. Oh, I know who this is. God dang it! It's not. He doesn't go by Gregory. I know his name. God, I'm gonna remember it. I don't know. But to me, ice, the aspect of a frostbite, because decks are just built in like decks are designed to take advantage of every resource, right? Mauve, Shrill, Rosetta. 2-in-1, right? Nobody is playing a bunch of one costs and running a bunch of blues, right? Bro, I'm gonna let you have this. Yeah, I'm gonna let you have that one. We're going in. We are going ineth, as they say. The only question here. Okay, so I actually like taking this because he pitched 2 reds. That is good information. It's both activations. This could be our last chance. I do want to go ahead and get rid of this, because we really want to make the most of this turn. But we're gonna pay him back for that for sure. So, okay, literally. Actually, that just got a whole lot better. Holy shit. Yeah, this one's gone. I was saying like, oh, but we could like pay him back or whatever. Yeah, go ahead and hit me with endless one more time. Yep. Why not? It's all you, Chief. Say it, Damien. I know you're in general chat probably. Send it. He says, send it. Christian Gerties. That's what he goes by. It's not Gregory. He goes by Christian. Yep, that's old Gerties. That's his name. Thanks, Travis, for the assist. Tax effects and magics are much situated in artifacts and white cards. As far as I'm concerned. Okay. As a blue player, ice player, I feel like less hate from ice. Yeah, I just don't know if like it has a good place in the game. Like, to be honest. Oh my god. Oh, I don't want to do it to him. Oh, chat. Oh no. All right, this is complicated, chat. I don't know what to do here. If we had tunic counter, it's super easy. We go for. Okay, I have the lawn. Okay, we go here. Here. Actually, I don't. This is a tough hand. I'm gonna let him know. Sorry, thinking. Because I want the CNC to be placed on the CNC because I can't snap the CNC. So once I play the CNC, it turns over. Right. That's the idea. The only way I could do that is to play the Force of Nature and then pitch the Channel Mount Heroic and the Nimblism to play that for 10 and then play Infectious Host, snap it, and then get one random draw, which doesn't seem that great, to be honest. But what's the point of the CNC if we're getting the whole hand on this anyway? So let's go ahead and do this. Fuse. And then Nimblism into this for 10. which says, give me your cards, right? He probably just lays his hand down here. And if he does, right, the value on the CNC is kind of negated because he's just going to pass anyway, right? He can't even like tunic counter 3 of a kind or anything like that. And there's a good chance that because he's running, like I saw him pitch a yellow winner's bite, there's a good chance he could not. Oh, he's just going to take it. Okay. That's cool. Okay, now we let him know. We like to call this fucking around and finding out is what we like to call this one. So he ate the damage just to. Oh, well, that's value. And we get the hand replacement anyway. So we get a good little juicy arsenal too. So he's got a very good hand. Holy shit. Sorry, let me get caught back up on. Okay, we have a winner's bite from hand. I'm okay just doing this in case he has something else. This hand's pretty good. It does what we need it to. I assume so. He took all that damage for something. Although we're not that far ahead. Like that was actually some pretty shit draws after on the Tome of Harvest. We pitched like 3 cards that turn. Okay, so this is actually tough here because we're gonna have Tunic Counter Rosetta for after the Rabble, so we do need to shut that down. We do want to stop the reload, but it's very odd that he's leading with this. The reason you would lead with this is if you had something worse in the back. And what could be worse? Nothing could be worse than loading when you don't have Bullseye Bracers. So we're just going to go ahead and cover it up here. I mean, probably has another Bolton shot, to be honest with you. That's very likely what he has. Probably a red one over a yellow one. Because that was yellow, right? No, that was a red one. Okay, I do not give a shit about this. Yeah, sure. All right, Rune Blade. Don't miss the Sonata. Oh, that's scary as shit. Don't miss. One time. We're not under. Now this is kind of tricky. So what our plan is we are going to throw the Rabble, of course, for 4, and we have an E-Strike on top. So then we're going to throw the Snatch. We'll snap it. And if he lets it hit, well, then we can E-Strike for 7 or 5, draw a card. Given that we draw a series of attacks, we probably just push the damage here. Is the more likely scenario. Okay, and since he blocked this, then our line is to still snap it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to Tunic Counter Rosetta Thorn because we played the Sonata. So we're going to go ahead and get the value there. And then we'll just Arsenal the attack. So we had a line, an efficient line, no matter how the And he's just gonna play this in Arsenal. That's obvious. And hopefully we just get a blue. Yep. Okay, so the question is, what are we doing? We know we have to pitch the blue here. My knee-jerk reaction just, yeah, okay. We got there. We got there. Let's do here. Pitching. Sinking. And we will pick go again. And then we're going to play the Scar from Arsenal. Other than CNC, what's the best card in the matchup versus Lexi? Anything that blocks 4, to be honest with you. Infectious Host is the best card. Basically give back, frailty or whatever, and pretty good, pretty good. Casual 2-card 13, was it? Was it 2-card 13? Oh yeah, Sonata replaced itself, so it's 0 effective. Dealt 1 damage, then 4/4/4. Yeah, with a tunic counter. 2-card 13, yep. But we had to brick 14 times to get there. That's the difference. What's in this? I really want to see LSS does with their next ninja. I think it's going to be a while before we get a ninja. We've gotten Phi. Katsu kind of has gotten 2 new identities in 3 sets. Like, he got the whole Crouching Tiger thing in Dynasty, and he got a whole nother combo line in Outsiders. So, if you're waiting on ninja stuff, I think you're going to be waiting a while. The next person that's truly up for, like, new stuff is Brute and Mechanologist. They are the ones that are currently, like, actually need stuff. We like it when Lexi blocks, but there's a very good chance that means he has a 3 of a kind here. This hand. The real question is, when do we get a Light Guardian? Is he just going to Arsenal? 3 of a kind. Nope. What's happening? Drill Shot. With go again? Oh, does that mean... So he could have an Arctic Incarceration or a Winter's. Because why would you pick go again? Oh, Codex. Okay, so what 0 cost arrow could he go get? Let's do an analysis here. He would go get Endless Arrow. He would pump this one to 6. And then the Endless Arrow would come in for 6. I think we can afford to slow the game down. And this, he has the option of Rain Razors here because he's going to Codex after. Or we're going to get Arctic. Either way, no matter which one it is, we have an out. Because he's thought this long, it definitely is a Codex. And he's thinking about, is the Endless Arrow for 6 good enough? Because I've already given up blocks on the Drill Shot. And the answer is it's not. But he is behind. He needs to make a move. Groot needs new stuff. This guy forgot about Rock. That card is broken. That card does nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. Oh, he just Arsenal the Codex. Okay. And that leads me to the second play. So if I also thought that that was a possibility, so now we just pitch these two lovely cards very inefficiently, and play Snatch for None, and draw a card if if he elects to take any of the none. Pretty good spot so far. No. We've been able to leverage that early lead pretty good. Had him on the back end. We've got him in a real bad spot because if he full blocks this, like what's gonna happen next turn, right? He's got two ways to approach this block, and it's basically full block it and then hope that our brick is an out. And then the second option is to only block 3, maybe 3 in Tunic, just to stay farther away from the arcane situation. And then just have like one last big like Rain Razors, Codex, whatever turn. And it all depends on what his hand is, right? If his hand is gas, then that's obviously the correct choice. If it's not, well, Travis, he can't just give Tunic because then he goes to 1, he has no AB, and he would have to literally deal 30 damage to have a shot because I'm just going to keep a blue and take him out with Arcane. So, he definitely can't give just Tunic. Obviously, with that setup, New Horizons, yeah, this is the block. So, he's making his final push, quote unquote. And we have a dilemma. We do not Arsenal this card. Okay. And now it's up to him to make his move. And basically, from this point on, what we're doing is, let's get a Codex count real quick. Okay. We have pre-med. Oh, he has 3 of a con? No? Okay. Okay. So we can do some thinking for him and figure out like what he is trying to do. We don't really care about the Remorseless. We actually care more about the Ponder, but there's no way we're blocking both. So Ponder is irrelevant. It's factored out of the equation entirely. Is there any situation? So we'll have Tunic counter, and we can get a Rabble, right? And with theoretically, we could block because we'll have to discard the host. So we will be able to theoretically block 6 only. And he has 1 floating, so he can get any 1 cost arrow. And if he was to get a 1 cost arrow, it'd probably be Infecting Shot or Heat Seeker. Right? Could be Endless Arrow, but it seems kind of anticlimactic. So we're looking at a total of 17 here. So 17 damage. We can comfortably block 6 and then present hopefully 6, 1 and 2, multiple breakpoints. He's at 4. He'll have multiple cards in Arsenal, so New Horizon is not very easy to just throw in front of it. Yeah, it could be endless. There's no way we're covering this Remorseless up anyway, so I think we have to hedge for him going and getting so unfortunately, I think we got to take the 10. Hate to say it. Think we got to take the 10 there. And then we discard the host. We block 6. He did get endless arrows. Coming for 6. So we stick to our plan. We go Ravenous Rabble. We get rid of embodiment. We have tunic counter. Nimblism, tunic Rosetta. Cover up that. He does his ponder shenanigans. Rock is terrible. You can set it up, but the problem is it's just too. It is above rate, right? But it's too situational, and it costs too many action points and everything else to set it up with like epots and stuff like that. So rock just isn't it. Take a little bit of damage from Remorseless, but and we hit a blue. Jesus, I can't shake it, guys. I hope that didn't cost us. But I mean, he has what should be a good arsenal because he had 2 choices. So this is either he's taking the 2 arcane, so he's effectively at 2, so that we get 2 cards no matter how this boils down, right? Because if he blocks, yeah, unless he gets 3 of a kind like Rain Razors, like I don't even know how you would do that. I guess you would have 1 in Arsenal. Yeah, I don't think. Oh man, say in the chat. My rock streams were undefeated though. Well, and yet no meta impact. Yeah. It's not the worst thing on the planet. It just isn't, you know. The funny thing that I learned, the more I started playing Flesh and Blood, and like the more I started taking it very seriously, was you can't just do consistent like on rate things or slightly above. Like the deck needs a little bit of explosiveness to compete across all decks. Okay, so he's going to 1, so we just hold a blue and win. But and I say you need explosiveness, but like that could also take the place of like disruption or something like that. Just not okay. Well, this is pretty face up, so we just block 7 here. Hold the blue. This should close it out. All right, GG Christian, GG. Let me navigate over to the other screen. So yeah, like I was saying, I think you need explosiveness / disruption. Now, disruption can take on multiple forms. It can be on hit effects that are bad enough, like Lexi, where it actually is a form of disruption, forces interaction. Because like I like Brute. I'm not somebody that just has a disdain for Brute and thinks that it's bad. I think it does some great things, right? But if Brute didn't have like Blood Rush Bellow, right? Like it would be the worst class, right? Because it does some fundamentally okay things, but also it really needs that real big explosiveness. And playing rock, not that good for Blood Rush Bellow. You can do it, but like I've never seen it. But hey, Mansant would know if that's the case or not. That's a fact. Christian, we were both struggling that game. The Force of Nature hand, I had like 2 CNCs and like had to pitch a bunch of reds to play. Like it was really, really weird. Yeah, it was a weird one. Let's see. Let me get caught up on chat before we call it. Could you play rock and go some sort of fatigue brute? The problem is you need like tunic counter, rolling thunder, and like e pots and uh deep blue. You know, like somebody made a graph of like all the different ways you could execute rock basically, and um a lot of them require uh it doesn't require, or it does require like action points like epot and stuff like that, and you can't actively fatigue with um cards like, why not take the lesser route and just club fatigue, right? Like you don't need any setup, just you block down, you save the yellow, swing for 4, right? That seems like a much better plan in my mind than going through 12 different hoops to swing rock. It's cooler, I'll give you that. Like it's cool to swing rock. I'm not hating on it. But yeah, I'll leave the brute stuff to Ethan though. He knows his stuff over there, and he knows what he's doing. So for any rock discourse, I'll have to forward you that way. Let's see. Maybe if they allow us to fuse rock to a stick, like the new Zelda game. That's the dream. Hexagore? Um, Ethan's Hexagore list doesn't have Blood Rush Bella. Yeah, I don't. What does Hexagore do? You take damage to where every time you swing it, you take damage to X equals, what is it, 6 minus the number of blood deck cards in your deck. So you basically need to get 6 blood dead in there, and then you can start swinging it. It's like above rate. Is that the idea? I don't remember the whole Hexagore play. The Talshar roguelike enemy who gains a resource when he plays a card makes good use of rock. Yep. Well, thanks everybody for joining me for the stream. I really do appreciate it. It's always a blast, especially at this time where I got the opportunity to to have the spoiler. It's such a great opportunity. Ethan, if you're still in here, I really hope Levia gets one, and I hope they send it straight your way. Um, really looking forward to it if that does happen. Um, it's it's kind of hard being a specialist in this game because I don't know if Ethan feels the same way. So I definitely can't say that I'm speaking for him in any way, but being a specialist, sometimes even when you know it's not the correct choice, you feel obligated to play it. Even if you can play something else, right? Like I can play a lot of decks. Um, and but when you're classified by a lot of people as a specialist, you just feel this overwhelming obligation to play that hero, especially at bigger events, right? Um, like Joshua Lau bringing Phi to Nats, like who's gonna get excited about that? Like, just something would just be off about that, right? And like he knows that, right? So anytime he looks at it, he's just like, I have to make one of these two warriors work, right? And like I do the same thing. I say, okay, like if you go to my Fabrary list, I mean, I probably have anywhere between 4 to 5 iterations of each rune blade going at a time. I got about 4 or 5 Viscerize. I got slow, make rune chants. I got fatigue viscera. I got like just all type of different things just sitting there waiting for the opportunity to pull from, right? I mean, I made the Briar list for the Goliath Gauntlet, right? Bunch of 7 or 8 attacks with a bunch of when I sent that list. Okay, so here's the story. If you guys haven't heard, I was asked to go on the Goliath Gauntlet, and I was on vacation at Disney World. My family loves to go. My life goes to um, Levia being the right choice. What timeline is that in? Yeah, it hasn't yet. It hasn't yet. Um, and we were at Disney World. That's where the family likes to go. And I literally made that Goliath Gauntlet deck waiting in a line for Space Mountain. I didn't play any matches. I just had like I was working on some math on my phone, making sure like ratios were right and like that the theoretical math was there. And I sent it to Uber and I was like, here's the list I'm playing. And he opens it. He messages me and he goes, bro, what is this? And I go, look, I promise the math is there. I don't know if it works, but mathematically it's there. And it was a good deck, right? Uh, Dagan played it at Indy, and he made day two with it. Like, I mean, the math is there. What it was built to do, it did. Was it the best deck in the room? God no. But it did what it was supposed to do, and so it just goes to show. I mean, that's a very long way of saying that. When you're classified as a specialist, it's very hard to branch out solely because you're kind of expected to play it, right? Um, I'm not trying to pass the blame. Like at the end of the day, I'm the one taking the deck, right? Like it's up to me. I can play whatever the hell I want, but like I can't explain like the pressure of like needing to play a deck because the community wants to see it too, right? Like I think it's very important, right? Like Ethan playing Brute. Imagine the Brute community, right? If I can't say this for the Runeblade community because there are Runeblades have been pretty meta for as long as they've existed. Maybe not the best deck, but they've always been playable at like big competitive events, right? But like it's just it's just like if Ethan wasn't there kind of holding the flag for the Brutes, right? Like I don't know. I just felt like nobody would have a reason or like people would play Brute because I know people fundamentally like that play style, but it'd be very hard to stay the course if you didn't have people like Mansant, right? Like it's people like that that keep those players engaged with those heroes. Um I I think I do feel that role, but not to the level of like Joshua Lau and Warrior and Ethan and Brute because those are like Runeblade players don't need a reason other than channel Mount Heroic and Revel in Runeblood, right? Like we have a million reasons to play the deck. But I think those communities of under historically underpowered heroes, like the specialists are so important in for the community to keep players within those classes, right? And keep them engaged, keep them having fun, enjoying the game, right? Because we don't want a game where everybody has to play five because it's the only thing you can play, right? So yeah, long rant, but thankful that there's people like Ethan holding the flag for that class and those heroes, helping keep those players engaged in the game and enjoying the game. It's really important, and probably a lot of people take it for granted sometimes. But He's doing some great stuff over there. Yeah, see, Harley in chat. I main Levy because Mansant's videos without them it'd be too hard and I would switch. Exactly. And it would just like it would just be like forgotten, right? Like it would just yeah, like that's not how it should be. It's not how it should be. Um so very important stuff that they do, right? Specialists are very important for a game that is hero centric, like the game that we play. So, um, at the end of the day, I hope Levy gets a ton of support in Dust Till Dawn. I'll be super excited for her to be very meta. Um, that would be super exciting to see. But anyway, thank everybody for joining me today. Once again, super excited about the spoiler that I got to share. That means the world, the world. Um, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow or not tomorrow, but Wednesday. Also, I'm looking to add another day to the stream. Um, what day would you guys prefer? If you don't mind sharing that information, it doesn't matter how you share it. You can put it in the chat right now, or you can put it in the comment section in YouTube, whatever the case would be. If I was to open up to a second day of streaming, of course, I have to do some research with other content creators because I don't want to establish streams on the time that they are doing it, because I don't want, like, I just don't want people to have to choose, right? I don't want to put anybody in that spot. I might not be able to do that because we have so many content creators, but I want to do my best to try and make an effort to make a conscious decision to like try and actively avoid that if it is possible. So whatever the case may be, if you're interested in seeing another day's worth of stream per week, throw it in chat, throw it in the comments on YouTube, send me a message, whatever the case may be, of like what day you would prefer that to be on. Thank you for it. It's a lot. Sometimes certain heroes are love-hate relationships. That would it be more of a gameplay stream? Yes, because it's hard to come up with so many topics per week. So honestly, what I might do is I might do bigger, like longer topics, and just do like topics one day and gameplay the other. I don't know. I'll brainstorm. I'll get some feelers, and I'll get back to everybody. But yeah, we'll go ahead and close it out here. Once again, thanks everybody for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Hope everybody has a good last weekend at their RTNs. Please don't play Briar, please. But yeah, 50-50 ratios. Yeah, good luck at everybody's RTN this weekend. Hope everybody has a good time, and more importantly, has a lot of fun. Not always about winning, but man, this game's so good to interact with people. We have such a good community. So everybody take care. Have a good night. Good luck this weekend. See y'all Wednesday.